Top five interesting storylines for 2022. Number 5, will someone finally snap up Jamey Chadwell? I think I'm thinking about this. This is a dude who has won consistently at Coastal Carolina. He's kind of got that, he's more, I guess, outgoing than a Dave Aranda is, but that same person over, player over program, thing, person over player, whatever it is that they've got going, and he seems to have that vibe to him. I'm surprised somebody hasn't grabbed him up yet, and I guess it'll depend on what jobs are open that he fits. But to me, I think Jamey Chadwell, especially if you're a program that is, a Power 5 program that's kind of in the middle that could, with the right guy,
he seems to be somebody that could, with his personality, would rally people. That again,
I think his personality is the reason why he's not. I think it's because he's so out there and kind of different and unique that it's not like what you would introduce at Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a different kind of breed, and I think that's probably what limits him ultimately more than makes him like the next big thing, like a Billy Napier was last season,
or Matt Campbell for a while.
Yeah, he's not like those, that guy. He's not a Matt Campbell type of guy. So I think that his being different is maybe what limits him, so to speak.
And that's kind of silly because
I didn't get that opinion when we had him on the show.
No, but I mean, he's really friendly and nice, and he does have the attitude of listen, at the end of the day, there's another game tomorrow.
Yeah,
and there are Jim Harbaugh doesn't really think
works at Auburn.
Jim Harbaugh doesn't think like that. It should work at Auburn. They would love this kind of attitude if they really let it happen. But yeah, that's part of the problem is that people, the people at Auburn want Nick Saban. Well, there's only one Nick Saban, so maybe do it different. There's been how many different college national champions? Every one of them's done it a different way, even though there's similarities. Bobby Bowden like Nick Saban? No. In fact, Bobby Bowden's more like Jamey Chadwell's more like Bobby Bowden. Mm-hmm. I think college football might need a little more Bobby Bowden in it.
Could always have more Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, good guys who'd rather hug you than make you run. I think that's good. In the long term. Number 4, if USC wins the conference, and this is not really a USC thing, but who will be the copycat team of? All right, let's go big. Let's go. 40% transfers on our roster. Let's really start to spend some money. Who is that going to be? Because sports are copycat all the way around.
Well, don't you have to go get another Power 5 big-time coach first?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, who's going to and so that means you have to go get somebody, and that would be interesting. But if USC in a year turns around from a decade of nothingness to winning that conference, which they very well could, I don't think they will. I think Utah's better. But in USC, we need to see this come together. But if they do turn around and win the league or get real close, who does that? Who else says well, it's worth it for USC. Let's go back and do that. Is it could it be Nebraska? A team is they're kind of in the similar.
Well, the
spot.
difference is you can recruit to USC. Nebraska getting players in is.
Isn't Miami basically doing this?
Miami, yeah. Okay, if Miami does it, this is probably a good thing. Yeah, Miami's probably doing the same thing.
They're doing the same thing with Cristobal.
Yeah,
he's going super big and this is.
Yeah, balls to the wall.
Yeah. I mean, I would say Texas, but they've already kind of done that. Miami's done it. I mean, who needs to do it is the question. And I'm only limiting myself to schools in that same wavelength. So, yeah, I don't know who would want to, just go full in, all the chips are on the table and this is go home or nothing. I don't know.
But I mean, I think there's and the part of this is there's not really answers to these questions, but are things to think about, on the season because we may not know. Number 3, can Will Anderson actually win the Heisman? If he has the kind of season everyone thinks he's going to have, and because he was so in the conversation last year, and everyone will tell you, if you ask him who the best player in the country is, a lot of them be like, well, I think it's Will Anderson. Would you vote for him the Heisman? No, he's not a quarterback. That's part of the problem.
I think there'll be a hell of a push. I think he would earn it if, in fact, he can duplicate what he did. And Alabama, of course, is a part of the national championship picture. But I think that will be early on, and eventually it's kind of like this. People get back stuck in a rut of what they think, of what they do when it comes to the Heisman Trophy. If he is as good as he was last year, depending on Stroud or Young or others, again, he was in my top 3. And you and I discussed it. He's a fantastic player. I hope that he can break that stretch.
I mean, can he? Yeah. Will he? Probably not, because voters are voters, and there's just this need to go with the sexy offensive player. I mean, no matter what, and I understand that there's reasons behind that, and there's cases to be made, but yeah, there's just this stubbornness to not let college football be more than just who the really cool quarterback or wide receiver is lately. And I don't know, and not so much lately. I mean, really for decades, but I don't know why they're so hesitant to embrace that the best player in college football could be a defensive player. Like, when you really think about it that way, like what is are not as many people going to tune into the Heisman Trophy ceremony show? Like, I feel like anybody who's watching that probably watches that every year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, like, that's not appointment TV for me. So is it a ratings thing? I can't imagine the ratings they get for the Heisman. So why?
It's just people are lazy and they're stuck in the mud. And there's
Well, I need more than just you're lazy.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of guys who have a vote that just are never going to change how they look at who's the Heisman Trophy.
Well, then that's stupid, and they shouldn't have a vote.
Well,
I mean, in my opinion, I think if you're going to be so stubborn just for the sake of being stubborn that you can't look beyond like three positions to say this is the best player in college football, that's just stupid.
Is it stubborn, or they just don't get it?
I mean,
that would be then to say that they're the dumbest people on earth if you don't get that.
Yeah,
It's like people look at things differently, and for some reason, there's some old school, because we're not talking about so much Charles Woodson in '97, whatever it was. It's just the way that it.
But he only did that. He only got it because he played
return man,
return and a wide receiver.
Right. So I understand what you're saying, but like, you're refusing to see the big picture because of just the way that it's been.
Why did the NFL have to have a class of about 25 names to make up for a lot of inadequacies in the Hall of Fame?
Right.
It wasn't just because of COVID.
Why do they have to do that?
Because there were so many times when writers just put their foot down, or whoever, voters, and they just weren't going to get him in until they finally said, we got to shove him in.
A lot of it was also like, you walk around the Hall of Fame, about 25 years ago and be like, there are not as many offensive linemen should be in this thing that, like, I'll give it even a more outside the box example, which would be even harder to do. But why wasn't Orlando Pace, who is maybe the best offensive lineman in the history of college football, why was he not a Heisman candidate?
Yeah. I know.
Because some people just, I mean, I understand what you're saying,
exactly.
but like, there's the fact that like, that's just how some people are. Like, that's a lame ass excuse.
Yeah.
That's robbing a guy of maybe winning a Heisman Trophy just because you refuse to budge from your very narrow tunnel vision of who's the best player in college football can be. And I can't agree with that, especially for guys who have been voting for 20, 30 years. It's almost like they dig even further down. And I think that's kind of sad. Like, that's just sort of sad.
There's a reason why there's younger, newer voters, and I remember when I was contacted, they said that we need some new eyes, and it doesn't mean they had to ask me, but they did. It's an incredible honor. But yeah, there needs to be new, fresh eyes, and not even then. I don't know if people still who are the quarterbacks?
Yeah.
You know.
Some years there's just not good quarterbacks, and you see guys. No offense to Ken Dorsey and Rex Grossman and guys like that, but even look, I'll even say this: Chris Winkie won the Heisman. He had a great time, but I don't think he was even the best player on his own team.
No.
So, number 2, which former USC QB will win the most? Will it be Jackson Dart, who you don't know if he's going to start yet? Will it be Keaton Slovis? Will it be JT McDaniels?
That's really good.
JT
I love
Daniels.
this one.
JT Daniels.
I love this one. If Slovis does win the job at Ole Miss, does that mean he will be the one? Because
Slovis is a pick.
I mean, Dart.
I mean, maybe, yeah. But then again, look, he might have
better. Who's of those three teams? Who's a better team?
Ole Miss is the best team, probably.
Then that would think you would lean, if he gets the job, that would be it.
Yeah, but he's also the only one who's not been announced yet.
No, that's true.
So it's
That
between
could be
him
Lane
and Luke
Kiffin.
Altmaier.
You're
Well,
right.
Jimbo said today he's not going to name a starting quarterback. But that's only a secret until Haynes King goes out and takes the first snap.
Yeah, I mean, okay, whatever. I mean, that's the element of surprise. I'm sure will.
Way to befuddle App State.
Hey, I mean, if there was an on-con that you're probably going to try to befuddle, it would be App State, right? But I mean, still, just to name your quarterback.
I love
Come
high
on,
school
dude.
coaches to death. I've been following them for 42 years, but that's got a little bit of high school coach in you.
Well, look, the high school coach that was here did the same thing when Robert Griffin III started, and okay, what everyone's like, all right, look, Nick Florence is okay, but even Nick knew that like this guy's going to start over me. So it was just kind of a weird thing. Number 1, which coach that we aren't thinking about right now will be gone at the end of the season? Like there's somebody that we're not thinking about that's going to be either in a different spot or not coaching.
Well, we're not thinking about him, so I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's
we
again,
weren't thinking about Lincoln Riley. We weren't
yeah,
We need
this
to
is a
bring
thought
this up in mid-November.
Yeah, but this is kind of just I want to do a little thought exercise.
Like if you thought of it, if you said a name out there that would not make, like if you said James Franklin, you make, oh, there's no way, but you never know anymore.
Yeah. I'll tell you one. Mac Brown.
If they struggle or if they really have a very good year, he may say, okay, I'm done. I've done what I've needed to do.
Yeah.
Brent Venables. No, I'm just kidding. I just want to see that fan base melt down some more. Everybody got quiet because they got nervous. So that OU Twitter is going to come after them. Bring it. I don't care. But no, we don't know who this is going to be. And that will be fascinating to see if there's somehow some Lincoln Riley type move that we're not even, or Brian Kelly, or, some just earth-shaking type of maneuver that we're not expecting.
The first two that we got were Herm and Mike Norvell. No, believe me, people are thinking about those guys.
Yeah, I think that those
Jeff
are
Collins,
very much.
no, those are very much. Nick Saban.
Sark, no.
Like Nick Saban. Yeah, that'd be someone you don't think about. Like,
yes, Saban would be shocking.
If he wins the national title and said, listen, I know I just got a 400-year contract extension, but I'm done.
Yeah, Sarkisian, Chip Kelly, two of the names. But, I mean, again, those are still, there's a little simmering there. Does Urban Meyer actually do the opposite and come back? Depends on what job. It's got to be one or two jobs that would be open. It's a no-brainer. Will Gary Patterson be coaching next year?
I mean, I do wonder how long he's going to want to be just to,
he's in the 60s,
an assistant. But at the same time, yeah, he's older. I'm sure he likes Austin, and he seems to be happy. So, I mean, maybe not having all the pressure of being a head coach is actually kind of nice. He's certainly made enough money. He doesn't really have to, build his resume to be a college football Hall of Famer or anything along those lines. So, yeah, I think it's all just his desire, really. But he could stay pat and just kind of coast if he wants to and still be able to coach football. But, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody we're not thinking of. I don't know who a Lincoln Riley type move would be, but it is a crazy world in college football these days. So I'm definitely not putting it, past happening, that's for sure.
All right, Paul, good stuff as always. And it'd be good to put that a reminder to come back with that in mid-November, even early November, and see what and how we might answer those questions.